Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is Monday, April 17th, day one of the 2023 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Guys, I'm pretty excited about this. Woke up this morning, went to go look through the games and add in any of the notes, and I kind of realized there's not too much to add for these games. I mean, we're starting fresh here, a blank slate on all of them. Game one for everybody here tonight, but pretty excited. I mean, so money. Alex B. Smith joining us here today on this Monday morning, and so money. You look at the schedule here tonight. We got 4 games tonight. We got 4 games tomorrow. It's fairly even throughout, so it's going to feel pretty good getting up each day and having a consistent schedule from that standpoint. But is there one series or game tonight that you're most excited to watch and get underway?
Absolutely. That would be the Edmonton Oilers series.
I just want to tee you up for that one.
I can't wait for that one.
Alex, how about you? Is there one that you're looking forward to most here?
No, none in particular. I mean, just all of them. You know, it's just nice that everybody's going to be playing meaningful hockey now too. You know, it was weird trying to navigate through the last couple of weeks of the regular season, but now, you know, it's all systems go for everybody. So it's going to just be a lot of fun. This is going to be one of the more exciting postseasons we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, as a Leafs fan, I think this felt like the longest regular season of all time. I think that each year they're feeling longer and longer, but then you have your playoff matchup locked in like December, and then it just feels the rest of it is just moving at a snail's pace. So I think that for myself, getting to this point is pretty exciting. Now getting to see some of this hockey again, this meaningful hockey compared to where we were at, it's a big difference. But I mean, looking at our regular season here on the Edgework Show, how we did throughout the course of an 82-game schedule, we went up 30.3 units this year, 3.6% ROI. So if you want to see all the picks that were given out on the show throughout the course of this year, you can see all of them tracked here, verified by BetStamp, a third-party app here on the BetStamp app. You can find us in there in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. So the plays will be locked until game time, and that will continue here through the playoffs. But if you do want to see the picks, you can obviously watch them here on the show. You can catch them at the very end as we'll recap everything given out throughout the course of the show. And just want to remind people as well, the easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Make sure to download the app today on iOS, Android, as well as on web. And if you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/edgework, or you can hit the link in the description of this video. All signups using that page helps support the Edgework Show here. So please, if you're looking to sign up for a new sportsbook, make sure to do so there. So money, there's a question for you here before we get into it. Do the Oilers run the table this playoff run or lose one game along the way?
I think they might lose a couple of games along the way.
Okay, fair enough.
Not more than that, though.
And then Connor Hartle here saying games looking forward to the Islanders Carolina game tonight, the Rangers Devils. Yeah, I think that there's some exciting ones here to get into. So let's start with the games here tonight. We'll go through each game, break them down, maybe give out best bets if we have any in those games. And again, if you have any questions in the chat, please make sure to send them in there. If you are watching and you haven't hit that subscribe button, please make sure to do so as well. And so money, I don't know if you've got the sign accessible to you there, but if people could please smash that like button if you have not already. Smash it. Go ahead and hit the like button. Help us out. Support the show. It does bring more people to the channel. So hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. But let's get into the games here today. Let's start with the Islanders Hurricanes series. Game 1 here tonight. Isles, Carolina. Islanders on the road in Carolina. Obviously, Carolina has home ice advantage in this series, wrapping up first in the Metro Division there. Now, Islanders tonight plus 150 on the road at Carolina. So money, is this kind of where we were expecting things to go, game-by-game basis for the series, how things might play out odds-wise? And I mean, looking at game 1 here, plus 150 settling in right now. Is that probably pretty accurate for where this should be to open up game 1?
I think it is for now. So I do think that the Islanders are going to win this series, but I usually have a very cautious approach for game ones. There's a lot of weird things that can happen in game ones, and I like to kind of see what the teams are trying to do, and as we move forward in the series, who is willing to or able to make the necessary adjustments to counteract what the other team is doing. So I generally tend to start slower as the series start. We know what the game plan is for Carolina. They want to generate speed, get in quickly on the Islanders' defense. They have a relentless forecheck, and they want to open up space for their defensemen to get shots on net. That's that's no secret. Meanwhile, the Islanders want to slow this series down and impose their physical will on Carolina. So eventually, as this series goes on, I do think that the Islanders will wear down Carolina. But in a game 1 situation where sometimes when we're expecting a slower pace series, sometimes it does start. It is possible for a game 1 to start with a faster pace, and that's something that I'm looking at because a faster pace obviously favors Carolina. Um, so if the Hurricanes do win this game and they're able to skate, I'm more interested in a game 2 over adjustment on the Islanders than I am in getting involved in this game 1. So I will sit this one out, but I will be watching this game very closely.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I took a shot with all the home teams winning in 7 games at FanDuel. If you look at FanDuel, I think they might be the only book that has this. You can pick the series, exact, who wins which game throughout, and you can pick, however many games you feel it's going to go and who wins it. So if at plus 4,800, I was able to get all the home teams winning. So essentially, Carolina winning game 1 and 2, Isles 3 and 4, Carolina 5. Isles 6 and Carolina and 7. I think it's going to be that tight of a series potentially, and so I'm sticking with just that. But I agree with Tomani. Yeah, we might see a big overcorrection one way or the other with depending on the result of this game, and that might be if you're looking to bet individually, that might be the best time to strike would be game 2. Depending on what happens here. As far as this particular game, I might try to jump in with some live pitches. I want to see, like I said, who's going to dictate the pace and tempo early. And I think that will be Carolina. I think, we've seen Carolina. There was one of those teams that kind of, maybe struggled down the stretch a little bit, like I said, kind of knowing their fate. Essentially, I think, that's one of the teams I'm really, focused on seeing, can they turn it on and get back to that, strong point they were at, say, around the middle of November, December, January. If they can play like that style of hockey, but it might take a minute for them to get to that point. So it's definitely kind of a watch and observe for sure, but may not jump in on anything as far as game 1 is concerned.
All right, so Islanders, Carolina, nothing pre-flop here that we'll play. It would be more of a live look and see how that goes, and then kind of play it out as the series progresses here. So nothing in that one for anybody. And if anybody's interested in a style of betting as well, there's Insight in the chat giving a spiel on how they're looking at going about this series, or going about some of the different series that we'll see here tonight. So you can check out what Insight is saying there. There's a lot to pull up, so I won't be pulling it up on the screen. Apologies, but if you are in the chat, you can see it there. And if you are
And
watching back after, you can see it as well.
what he's saying inside is it is actually proven long term, what he's saying there. So I think it's a good on you to take a look at what he's saying there.
So Money, do you want to break it down briefly in terms of what it is? It just an overview of what's going on here.
Yeah, so basically, in the old forums, in the old covers forums, a lot of us cut our teeth there. And there was a poster who would post about, it was called the Lipsman split. So basically, you have like the dog, and you are betting on the dog for game one, at like a certain number, right? So like the actual number, I'm not sure about. Like that seems a little bit arbitrary, but you bet the bigger dog in game one, and in game two you're essentially trying to go for the split, right? So if like the dog wins the first game, you let it go, and then so you're essentially looking for the split in that. So if you have a big dog, you want to bet them to get the split in one of the first two games.
All right, there you go.
Now,
Yeah,
of course, you need to you need to break that down in terms of the teams. You can't just blindly be doing stuff like that.
right.
But like you need to, if it has to make sense logically as well.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and if you want to see it expanded out a little bit more in terms of what Insight is saying there in the chat, you can obviously head over to the YouTube. If you're not watching this, if you are listening on podcast form, you can head over to the YouTube and click and see the live chat as the show was going on and see what was being said at certain times. That is an option for you to do. But moving on to the next game, Alex will look at this one. Florida Panthers on the road to the Bruins here. You have a play in this game that you are looking for. Game one, Bruins at home. Where is it that you kind of look to be betting in this game?
Yeah, well, if you guys haven't watched the preview for Bruins and Panthers, we pretty much kind of summed up that this one might be a little quicker than the rest of them. I love the Bruins here in 4, and I grabbed that at plus 500. But to play for this individual game one, I took a shot at the Bruins on the puck line, lane 1.5. I got plus $1.25. So you can shop around. You can still find that at a couple of places you see on the screen. I think, Boston, like I said, they didn't rest up. They didn't take time, take their foot off the gas. They won 15 of the last 16 games to wrap up the regular season. And this pace, like I said, there's something different here compared to when you look back at when Tampa Bay set the record for wins, or even going all the way back to, like I said, in the 90s with the Red Wings. This team is just built differently, and they're built to be a playoff team. I don't see them slowing down much at all, especially against a Florida team. And you look at the mismatches here with that Boston offense against this Florida defense, and especially goaltending. And like I said, we don't, it just seems to be such a big question mark of how Florida is going to play, because it's two different things. Boston could have rested up and taken a few steps back, and they didn't. Where Florida had to play, balls to the wall playoff style hockey already, winning 6 of the last 8 games just to get into the dance. So now you wonder, things kind of settle in for a little bit for Florida, or can they keep that momentum? I think it's going to be more of the former. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that same kind of pace, where Boston has just been steadily able to dictate the game pace, the game tempo, and I think that's what we're going to see here. So I like Boston to win this by at least 2 goals.
So we locked that in -1.5 plus 126 here. There are still 125s, 120s widely available, so make sure to go check those out, especially if your book doesn't have it. Maybe you need to sign up for a new one. You can do so with the betstamp.app/edgework. But I got to ask you guys, why is there no hesitancy on the Bruins going into this one. We saw Tampa Bay a couple of years ago go and set what was the NHL record at the time for wins in a season, and then they get swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. We saw the Florida Panthers go on an absolute run last year. They win the first round series, but then they get swept by Tampa Bay in the second round. Like, it kind of seems like everyone's looking at the Bruins this year and just saying, well, they're going to be able to go and just steamroll everybody. This team is like, they are different. They are the Boston Bruins. We can expect them to just run over everybody. Is there not an element to them to sit there and say, hey, this could happen, just like what happened with Tampa? Like, maybe we do need to be worried about this, or with Florida where they kind of fell off after their spectacular regular seasons? Or is it truly like, hey, based on this franchise, based on the experience that they have, this is kind of why we lean towards them more so than those other teams were given that trust and that faith?
Yeah, I mean, there is always that hesitancy, and anything can happen, right? You look at that Tampa Bay Columbus series. That Columbus team was not an 8 seed; they just got slotted into that 8 spot,
Right.
right? This Florida team, this is an eight seed. They are where they should be, right?
Right.
So I think that would be the first difference. The hesitancy I feel is that. Um, yeah, I mean anything can happen, right? Like you have a goalie that gets hot. Like, what if Florida steals the first game, right? Then the whole dynamic of the series changes. So I think I don't think that um I do think that Boston wins pretty handily, but it's not something that I'm like laying their number and like I think there's no chance that Florida can win, because I never feel like that in the playoffs, right? As much as I joke about the Oilers running the table and stuff, like it it's the NHL playoffs, right? There's so much variance involved. So and also you look at what's Bergeron's status, right? So I don't think Boston um, they'll be fine in this Florida series, but like I maintain, once they get the Leafs, I think that things are going to be a lot different.
Right. Any bets for you in this one, So Money?
No, I got nothing here. I had a slight interest in the under. I think that 6.5. I'm seeing it up to -120. I wanted it a little bit cheaper than that. So unless if it dips a little bit, if I can get a 6.5 -115, that would be the way I'm looking. But um, I really want to see how Alex Lyon plays here in his first playoff, and the Boston goalies for that matter as well. I also want to see the pace of this series too. I've got a sense that um, this could be a slower pace series than what we are kind of thinking going into it. So those are the things that I'm looking for. As I mentioned, I start very slowly in game one, so I want to see what both of these teams are doing first.
Right. All right. Well, moving on to the next game here, Minnesota at Dallas. Alex, I'll go to you first in this one for your thoughts. I think after the series previews that we did the other day, if you haven't watched, please make sure to go over after this stream comes to an end and check those out, as games obviously getting underway tonight, half the series here, and then the rest starting tomorrow. So you're going to want to get some of that information ahead of these series, but you can check out all the series previews. Everyone was pretty high on Dallas for the most part in this. A lot of it came down to goalie concerns potentially with Minnesota. Who are they going to play? How are they going to deploy the guys? What is the rotation going to be? Alex, starting here in game one, you see Dallas favored here, -143. They are at home, facing off against Minnesota, where kind of some of the goalie stuff is a little bit up in the air at this point. How would you be looking to play this first game between Dallas and Minnesota?
Yeah, I think like I said, the home ice edge here is going to be crucial, and I think Dallas can take advantage of that. This is these are two teams that are obviously division rivals, but you look at the deeper picture. It's a Wild team that struggled to play well in Dallas. They've lost 11 of the last 44 meetings down there, and just historically as a playoff team, they've just struggled. Just looking at their first round matchups, they've lost 13 of the last 17. They do not get off to good starts in series, and they don't win series, and that's why We've seen them kind of bounced out in the first or second round for many years. This Dallas team has all of the offensive punch to compete with just about anybody, and they have a great goaltender in Jake Ottinger. And I took a shot with them and in regulation plus $1.15, which is a little sketchy when you think about, the series history. 3 of the last 5 meetings have gone to overtime or a shootout. Obviously, we only have overtimes now since we're in the playoffs. But, Minnesota and Dallas always tend to play close. They played a lot of overtime games during the regular season. But I think Dallas will be able to do enough to win this game within 60 minutes. And then probably be able to look for an even more tighter game and might try to look for that overtime spot in game 2. So I think Dallas establishes the tempo and pace early. They get some goals, and they'll be able to win this one in regulation.
All right, so we'll lock that in regulation plus 114 for Dallas. But so money, you kind of had ahead of time a little bit of a different way that you were looking at this one. You were going to wait on something, but could you tell us what that was, what you're waiting for, and where you'd kind of need to see numbers go to?
So, like usual, I'm waiting for Dean Evison to do the right thing here with his goalies. So, there you go. I don't want to bet on the Wild with Fleury in net. I do have interest in the Wild in this game for a couple of reasons, but I do want to wait until I get that Gustafsson confirmation. If Gustafsson is not confirmed, I'm not playing this game. But if he is confirmed, a couple of things stand out for me. I think that the Eriksson Ek injury is big for Minnesota when you just look at it from their team perspective. But I think it's overstated for the series itself, because it's not as if Dallas is a powerhouse down the middle either, right? So yes, it does hurt Minnesota quite a bit, but it's not the same loss as it would be if they were playing a team that's a lot deeper than them down the middle. So I think that aspect of it is a little bit overstated. Secondly, we know that Minnesota wants to grind this game down. This is another instance where you have one team in Dallas that would prefer to play at faster pace, although they do have the ability to lock it down as well. And you have a Minnesota team that does want to ugly it up. So if they're playing tight, close games, I'm more in line with the dog. The other concern with Dallas is that you look at how they ended the season, right? Like, these are their games here. Pittsburgh, Vancouver, Chicago, Arizona, Colorado, fine, although they lost at 5-2. Nashville, Philadelphia, Vegas, they won in a shootout which was a lucky win. Detroit, St. Louis. So it's not their fault. You play who is in front of you, but there's a big step up now with a big physical Minnesota team that I think will be able to slow this series down. Now, I do think that Dallas eventually finds a way in this series based on their skill level. They have more throughout their lineup. They have more skill in terms of offensive production. For in this one single game, if Gustafsson starts, then I think that number on Minnesota is too high.
Okay. So what would you play that down to if Gustafsson is confirmed? Because I'm currently seeing plus 130. We are seeing some of the books go down 122, 120, already sitting it there. But you are seeing plus 130 on the higher end. Gustafsson gets announced, lines start moving, people start betting into it. How far down would you be willing to go on that, so money?
Yeah, with Gustafsson, I would take Minnesota down to 118.
Okay. So there you go. So we did lock in the Stars in regulation, but just for anybody out there wondering, especially it is later in the day, if you're listening to this or watching it back, if Gustafsson is announced, Minnesota down to 118 for so money. That's how he would be looking at playing that. But one more game left on the schedule tonight. I think we all know what side So Money's going to be looking at here. But before I let you break this one down, So Money, and tell us why we're about to watch the first game of a 4-0 sweep here tonight, I want to remind people, if you're watching right now and you haven't hit subscribe, please make sure to do so as well. there's not nearly enough people who have hit like on this stream yet for the amount of people watching. So hit that like button, please, while you are watching this. Help support the show here. And again, if you see sportsbooks come up here with prices that you don't have available, or you don't have that sportsbook, and you want to sign up for it, use betstamp.app/edgework to sign up for any of those sports books that you see popping up on the screen. But So Money, final game of the night here. Day one of the NHL playoffs. The LA Kings, the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers minus 185 at home to open up this series. Talk to me about what do you think and how are you feeling about game one?
We are all Oilers, however, not at this number, right? I think that this is one step too far on the Oilers. As much as I love them, this is just too high. I think that this is a product of the Kings injury concerns. The Oilers, the last couple of days going into the playoffs, have really become a media darling here. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's actually concerning, quite frankly, about what people are saying about the Oilers. And thirdly, we've mentioned this for the other series. It is the playoffs. Anything can happen. There is a path to victory here for the Kings. As much as it pains me to say, um, it it would hurt me, but it wouldn't be shocking if the Kings won this game, and if the Kings do ultimately win the series, just because it is the playoffs. So for game one, um, my Connor McDavid jersey hasn't arrived yet. I was hoping it'll be ready for game one, but we are all Oilers for game one. But I can't recommend laying that number on the Oilers tonight.
Fair enough. Alex, you kind of look at it the same way?
Yeah, I do. Though, if anything, though, one thing I would take a shot with here would be looking at a live first period over. That's basically. I think we could see. That's funny. Yeah, I definitely think we could see some goals going back and forth. It's gonna be this series is gonna be a lot like a boxing match, right? And I think this first game is gonna be a lot of feeling out. It's gonna be jabs back and forth. I think we're gonna at least see some scoring early both ways. But I think we're not going to really get the real true feel and pace of this series probably until later in this game, if not even this game, probably into game two and game three. So I think it's going to be a kind of a slower pace now than what we'll see the rest of the series. I might even sprinkle a little bit on the game to go to overtime. So the regulation draw might be something I'll be looking at as well. But like I said, nothing official right now. This is definitely a game I want to observe first, because Edmonton has played LA well, especially at home. They won 12 of the last 17 meetings. So like I said, it's going to be important for the Kings to try to at least get, some kind of energy going early. And if they can get on the board, not necessarily first, just get on the board early in the contest, even if Edmonton scores first, that'll, let them get some comfortability and moving on as the game goes.
Alex,
Yeah,
can
and
you kind of sorry, go ahead, somebody.
no, I was just gonna say the other element to this series is that overall I have the series pegged as an under series. There's gonna be, I think, at 6.5s with these teams. Um, I think that, and like the way that they've shown that they play each other, I've talked about the Oilers ad nauseum, that they're absolutely fine with playing low scoring games now. I have confidence in that. Like all the stuff about the Oilers defensively, that was everything pre-Ekholm, pre-Skinner taking the reins. Um, I do throw all of that out the window. This is a different team now, and they're completely fine with playing a defensive style. So or I should say, a more defensively responsible style. I do think that as the series goes on, I think that the games will get tighter. I do have interest in the game one under, but it's just not good enough there for me yet. And like I mentioned, earlier, the unpredictable nature of game ones kind of causes me pause here. So I do like the unders in this series, but it's just not quite there right now.
All right. Fair enough. I also see here Jordan Mosel saying, is Kevin Fiala going to be back? I'm pretty sure the last thing we saw of that was that it was unclear. Like,
everything's unclear.
yeah, they just wouldn't say whether or not he was going to be back. So no definitive answers on that. They said he may travel, he may not travel, he may play, he may not play. It's like, all right, well, thanks. But Alex, I was just going to ask you on this. You said looking at like live first period stuff. Could you explain a little bit what you might be looking for here, whether it be the pace of play, numbers that are coming up? Like, how are you going to go about playing first period live tonight if that's something that does happen for you?
Yeah, wonderful question, and this is something I do during the regular season as well. So when I see a number like this, is we're seeing 1.5. It's cheap as $1.35, but up to mostly I'm seeing $1.40, $1.45. I'm just looking to see clean passing and good chances early in the first 2 to 3 minutes, and as we see that, you'll tend to see that number drop down. So that 143 at Pinnacle would 2 minutes without scoring, you'll see that automatically go down to maybe minus $1.25, $1.20. And of course, the longer they go without scoring, the more that number drops. So I try to get into a range of, laying $1.15 or if ideally something in the plus money range. And then if I'm seeing where, okay, the chances are about to start increasing for either team, then I'll jump in on that. And of course, you get a goal, that number is completely gone. That price is gone, and now we've put ourselves in a better position. So that's something that I like to do a lot during the regular season, but especially in the playoffs. When you're looking at period totals or even money lines, just wait a couple minutes. Sometimes you're not going to just see things just jump right off the gate. And with some teams, you will see that. And some teams where you won't have time to look for anything live and have that number drop. But I think with these two teams and what So Money said is so important. Yeah, this is a more defensive, a more responsible team on defense in Edmonton. So which means, they're not going to just give up a goal in the first minute and a half. I think we're going to see, like I said, a feeling out process, and that'll give us time to get a better adjusted number on that first period over.
Right. All right, there you go. There's our 4 games today. Preview those. So we'll break these down. The picks that we have for tonight, only 2 best bets. Obviously, this is what's going to happen as we get down to 4 games a day in the playoffs. Here, things become a little bit tighter, a little bit more difficult in some different spots. Hopefully, maybe it'll open up as we get through game ones and start to get a little bit more clarity on lineups, goalie situations, some injuries, all that kind of stuff. But to recap today's picks, 2 best bets. The first one, we are going with the Bruins minus 1.5 plus 126 for a full unit against the Panthers. And the second one, we're going with the Dallas Stars in regulation plus 114 for a full unit there. So that is the Bruins puck line minus 1.5 plus 126 at a full unit. And then the second one is the Dallas Stars in regulation plus 114 against Minnesota for a full unit as well. If anybody is looking for more hockey content over the next little while, obviously after this, you can check out all the videos we have in our NHL playoff previews series. You can find that on our YouTube channel in the NHL playoff previews playlist, so you can watch all the previews for all 8 series that we have there, breaking those down, giving best bets, favorite picks, series predictions. So you want to get those in ahead of the games here tonight as well. I want to let people know, starting tonight on some of the different nights, we will have live watch-alongs for the game. So you can join myself, Alex Moretto, and a bunch of different people from the Edgework crew filtering in to do watch-alongs on the games. Tonight we will be going live from 9 to 11 p.m. on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. So we will be on there talking about the Eastern games wrapping up and then transitioning into the West Coast games, likely finishing around 11, but could potentially go later depending on how things are going and how many people are in there watching with us. So if you guys want to come hang out, see live bets, pregame bets, whatever else is going on in there, make sure to come over to the Hammer HQ YouTube channel starting at 9 p.m. tonight to watch those games and break that all down and bet along with us. And the other thing I want to let people know about, if you haven't already seen it, this Thursday, Rob Pizzola, Jeff Feinberg, Andy Molitor will be competing in the World Putting League. Yes, that is correct. They will be competing in the World Putting League down in Myrtle Beach. So if you want to watch Rob, bet on Rob or bet against Rob here from the Edgework Show as well as the Hammer HQ, you can do so using different books like DraftKings, Betfred, as well as some different offshore sports books that offer some different markets. You can find all prices, whether it be three-ways, head-to-heads, tournament outrights. You can find those prices on Rob, Jeff Feinberg, and Andy Molitor. And on top of that, you can watch Rob live with myself Thursday, 10:15 a.m. on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel, watching along with Rob, watching him play the course, see everything that's going on in that. So that'll be coming up this Thursday on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. It'll be a couple of hours stream. Rob will call in after his round, let us know his thoughts on how he played, whether or not he made the cut, and then give us some insight on some of the other players that are out there. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you are looking for more content from us here on the Edgework channel, you can find that on the playoff previews. You can also find us over on the Hammer HQ tonight doing watch-alongs. But thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. Alex, So Money, thank you guys for the insights, the analysis. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully you enjoy day one of the playoffs here. Enjoy the games tonight. And to everyone who watched, I will see you back here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, for more picks and previews. Good luck on your bets tonight.